Hey, what's up, everybody? Thus, Sammy J here with Mental Edge, where we bring the badass information from the badasses and give it to all you badasses. Today, I've got an exciting guest to have on the show today. I have been trying to connect with this young lady for, I don't know, a month or so. Met her at a networking thing, and she's just amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and just hand it off to her. It's Lauren Johnson. And Lauren, tell everybody a little bit about you and just, oh my God, if real quick, I do got to butt in. I've literally talked to this lady a couple months ago, and if we get half the tidbit, which I know we're going to get a whole lot more than what I got in that 15-minute talk with her, y'all are in for a treat. So I'm sorry, I'm done.
Oh, thank you. Can I just bring you everywhere I go? Be my hype man. Like, this is amazing. No, sincerely, I cannot express enough how excited I am to be here with you. Like you said, we got to connect a little bit ago, and when we did, it was like the stars aligned. I was like, yes, I have to be on this podcast with Sammy. So thank you again for having me. For all of those listening, my name is Lauren Johnson. I'm a mental performance coach and speaker. Essentially what that means is I help people become elite by choice, not by chance. And I studied performance psychology, and a lot of people understand this area as sports psychology, but performance psychology is just a broader term for sports psychology. So not only did I learn about how to apply these principles to sports, but also to, Fortune 500 companies, to military, to ballet dancers, to doctors. I mean, you name it, it goes across all domains. And so that's, I think, the thing I love about it. It's not just sports oriented. It's not just one domain oriented, it's performance oriented. And that impacts every area of our life. And so I help So I help to develop mental skills so that with people and my clients, so that you can perform your best regardless of circumstance.
So I love the name Elite by Choice. That just, for me, everything we do is a choice or a decision. And when you're talking performance, for me, myself, my first thing when people ask me, hey, well, what should I do? Which they're asking, hey, what choice should I make or what decision? I tell them, start. Just start and know that that's okay. And it's not going to be perfect, and you're going to mess up, and you're going to have fallbacks, but you're also going to have fall forwards. You're going to have greatness. You're going to have those daily wins. And so where did Elite by Choice, the name, just come from? Was it something like that, or?
Yeah, when somebody asked me, if you could boil down mental performance down to its simplest form, what would it really be? Like what are the skills that you're providing, allowing people to do? And what I came up with is it allows people to make elite choices. And then I was like, okay, well, and how do we become elite? We become elite by choice. Because I think a lot of times we look at these high performers and we look at these people who have been ultimately successful, and we think they have this intangible. They have something that we don't. But really, each and every one of us has everything that we need within us. It's the choices that we make that add up to who we become and the outcomes that we get. Now, it doesn't guarantee success. It doesn't guarantee you won't have failures. It doesn't guarantee you won't have obstacles. But the fact is that we have control in our choices. We have control in how we respond to them. We have control on whether or not we accept them. We have control whether or not we take action or we don't. And so at the end of the day, performance comes down to the choices that we make. And choices aren't just action oriented, they're also thought oriented. They're also, perspective oriented. They're also feeling oriented. And so while we can't choose everything, we have a power of choice within everything.
So if you can give us one tidbit here, because I know that I think we all run into this, or we all know somebody that's like this. So I come to you and I say, Lauren, I want to open up a business and I want to be great at it, and whatever that is. But Lauren, I've had a hard life, and woe is me, and my life sucks, and you're wrong in a way. I don't have choices. I mean, this is the hand that was dealt to me. And how would you deal with somebody like that? Because I'm sure you run into that.
Well, how I would deal with somebody like that is similar to how I dealt with me when I was like that. I was 15 years old when my best friend took her own life.
Sorry to hear that.
And thank you. And it was one of those things though, and I don't tell the story because I want people to feel bad for me. I tell the story to describe and paint the picture of what you just said. You don't go into life thinking it's going to be difficult, right? You don't go, you're not born into this life going like, oh, well, life sucks. Some people have the environment that teaches them that, or they're told that, but that's not typically like, how you start life off. Now, what I know is that life doesn't always go according to plan. Like I didn't plan for my parents to divorce when I was 10. I didn't plan for my best friend to take her life at 15. I didn't plan to have my soccer career end with my 5th concussion my senior year. Nobody plans for these obstacles and things that we face in our life. And I could look back at every single one of those and I could tell you all the terrible things that happened. I could focus on and tell you about how painful it was, how depressed I became, how sad and how difficult it was for me to get out of bed every morning. But I also have the choice to look back and tell you about all the things I gained from those experiences. And this is the difference between productive and unproductive. A lot of people like to categorize these two things as positive or negative. I don't really love those terms. And the reason why is because if I look back at all those times and I just said, like, oh my God, it was so good. I'm so glad those things happened. That's like putting perfume on a bad smell. It doesn't go away. That's ignoring the reality of our situation. That's not productive. So positivity can also be unproductive, right?
Oh, yes.
Where positivity can really become productive is pulling the lessons out and saying, how did I become stronger from this? What did I learn from this? What did I gain from that? And that list is much longer, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, it always is.
At a very young age, I gained the perspective of understanding that relationships are one of the most important things in life. I learned what unconditional love really meant. And I learned that from seeing what conditional love looked like. And so for people that go through difficult times, man, I have it a lot better off than a lot of people I know.
No, yeah, I see what you're saying, and I totally agree. Tell me if I'm right in hearing this. We don't plan for, and those all seem to be the negatives. And that's where we focus. But we also didn't plan on meeting the love of our life.
Yeah.
It was by happenstance. We didn't mean to come along the best job that we've ever, like our dream job. We didn't, or I would say we can even look at it as, I didn't plan on this. I didn't plan on this. I didn't plan on this. So if you want to get out of all that, including that mindset, make a plan to do that.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, no, it definitely 100%. And I understand for people that are in the thick of it, it's not always easy when you're in it, right? It's not as easy as like, oh, well, just don't focus on the negative of your situation, or just don't focus on that. Like that's not what I'm saying. It's often a process, but mental performance is often about accepting your reality and choosing your response. You don't have to like your reality. That's not what acceptance means. It doesn't mean you have to like it. It doesn't mean you're like, yes, I'm so glad this happened. No, but it's accepting what is, the reality of what happened, what is, and then choosing how we're going to respond to it. For a long time, I didn't choose to respond to it in a productive way. I found myself in therapy for many years. I found myself suicidal myself. I found myself in probably one of the darkest times of my life. When I started to finally choose different, and it's a process, not an event.
Oh, yes.
When I finally got to the process of where I was able to accept what is and choose a different response, that's when things started to change for me. And so a lot of times we get stuck in our bad circumstances, not because our circumstances hold us back, but because we choose to keep us in that place.
Yes.
And we choose differently at any given time. And sometimes you need to stay there for a little bit. It's part of the healing process. But at some point, we have to understand is that we do have a choice. Whether we stay there or not is our choice. How long we stay there is our choice. That all of that comes down to choice. And again, I know I'm simplifying this. So anybody that's going through anything difficult, I'm not trying to say that, you're making the wrong choice or how dare you. Not at all. It's not that easy. But if we really boil everything down, it comes down to the choices that we make. And if somebody says like, oh, well, I don't have a choice, the fact is that you do. We have to understand though, where your choices do and do not lie, and then make the choices within where our control does lie.
I explain, but no, I'm glad you're per se simplifying it. I think that's what a lot of people need to hear is they don't need somebody to preach at them and try to throw all the big terms and, hey, your cerebellum and blah, blah, blah. And this is why you need to. No, they don't need that. They just, I explain it like this. Be honest with yourself. To me, that's where a lot of this starts is you can hold on to the pain. You can hold on to the negativity, whatever you want. And people, I feel like a lot of people hold on to it for years and years. And it turns in from what was initially grief or pain to an excuse of why this is a good excuse for me to stay where I'm at or not move forward or anything like that. But I'll stay unhappy. And it's like, well, okay, well, you got to figure out your honesty there somewhere, because here's the reality. You want to go scientific. After 4 years, there's not one cell in your body that is exactly the same. Nothing, not your skin, not your hair, not nothing. After 4 years, your body literally recreates its whole self, except for your brain. And so if you're holding on to something that has lasted years and years, when I was a kid and when I was yes, I get it. Hold on to it. Use it for good. Make that choice, but don't use it as an excuse, because right now it's just a memory that you're reusing. And so it's up to you to make that choice to let it go or find the good in it or whatever you need to do, and then move on.
Yeah. And sometimes that requires assistance.
Yes.
And so I definitely encourage a lot of, any of my clients there where, and this is maybe a good distinction with what I do and don't do. I'm not a clinical therapist. So what I don't do is I do not diagnose and treat clinical disorders. I work with a lot of people on, just enhancing their performance through things like their confidence, through their things like focus, through things like attentional control, through things, there's a list like a mile long, but essentially things that are performance based, dealing with fear and all that kind of stuff. Like those are the things that I work with my clients. A lot of my clients though, and it's very common, is that some of the things that they come to me for end up being very clinical in nature. And if that's the case, I make sure and I refer them to also work with a clinical therapist to work through some of these things. So some of the stuff, while it may sound really simple in what we're talking about, and I think the simplicity is great because it helps us really understand that we do have power over our situation. But sometimes one of the best things we can do is to bring somebody alongside us that can understand, that can treat and help us with those choices. Because I know for me, if I did not get help when I was really dealing with severe depression, I don't know if I would have made the right choices that have allowed me to still be here today. So, so it definitely, while I think there's a lot of times where we can make the choice, and the times where we feel like, man, I'm trying everything and I still can't, that's when I really encourage therapy. I mean, therapy is an amazing tool.
Yeah, no, I more than agree. I have a psychologist that I do literally the same thing with. If it's, you get people that they need more than one voice, and maybe they do need to go lay down on a couch and cry. And you can cry in front of me, I'm good with that, but maybe they just need a different shoulder to cry on, and that's good. To me, that goes back to the being honest part. And as much as we per se want to help our clients, we have to be honest too and go, hey, well, I want you to get the best you can. I want you to perform at your highest level. Here's another person, and so no, I in a world that we live in of competition, and how many of, first say, mental coaches or performance coaches are out there that are going, oh no, I'm not sharing you, I want you. And that's not the right thing to do. And you end up as a person. I know and I guarantee I'm speaking for you too. You feel better when that person comes even away from that psychologist or whoever it is and says, thank you for referring them to me.
Well, because it's not about me, and it should never
Exactly.
be about the coach. And it pisses me off if coaches out there the ego is in the way.
Yes.
And because it's not about us, it's about helping the client. And I know my limitations of my knowledge. And I wanted you to think about, like, we all have like a circle of knowledge, and that circle can expand, it can contract, and everything in between. But the fact is that there's a border around our circle of knowledge. And we have to understand the most dangerous people are the people that don't understand their limitations of knowledge.
Oh yeah.
And if we don't recognize that, and we put ourselves first and our egos first, you're not putting the client first. And so what's most important to me, and I tell every single person that has an inquiry with me, whether or not you choose to work with me doesn't matter. What I care is that you are paired with the best person for you, because I'm smart enough to know that I'm not for everyone. Yeah. And I may love this client, but they may not connect with me the same way I connect with them, or vice versa. And the most important thing is not to land the client. The most important thing is to make sure that client is paired with the right person. And sometimes when I never take on a client that I don't feel that is correct on my end. And of course, I let them make that decision on theirs. But if I feel that suddenly my knowledge is limited to help them, and I recognize there's a clinical issue that's residing here, that's beyond my ability to help, whether it's educationally or otherwise, I'm going to be sure and find them the right person to do that, because that's what's right by the client. Yeah. It has nothing to do with me. And I think that you would probably agree with that.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I explain it like this. You did a beautiful job explaining it. I say, look, I'm not here just to take your money. And there's so many I call them knuckleheads. I call them a lot worse, but I won't say that now. But that are just there to take the money, and they really don't care if you're helping anybody. They've got a little book, and they get their little book out, and they go, okay, let me ask all these, certain questions, and I hope that, okay, well, did that help? Okay, well, great. Move on. Next client, come on in. So no, I know I appreciate that. And that's a big reason I have you and people like you on this show, because if you don't have values and boundaries and restrictions, then you're not serving from the place that I want to promote, so, no, I definitely appreciate that. All right. So a little bit about your background. So I heard a little birdie told me a story, and I wanted to verify it with you. Something about Starbucks and, the Yankee. Can you tell us the Starbucks story?
I would love to tell you the Starbucks story. This was a really big defining moment in my life. I'll rewind a little bit though. So I was fresh out of grad school. So just graduated with my master's degree in performance psychology. I had 2 job offers right out of school, which is like a grad student's dream. I felt so blessed and lucky. And I had to really take my time to decide which one I wanted. So I took my time and I chose one and turned down the other. But the only catch with the one I chose was it was going to take about 6 months for me to be placed in that position, which was totally normal for this role. So I thought, you know what, great. It's like another summer before I waltzed into the real world. So 6 months goes by and I don't hear anything. And so I reach out and I just said hey, just checking to see when I should be expecting to be placed. And that's when I get the response that said, "We're sorry, the job is no longer available."
Oh,
And I was heartbroken, like completely heartbroken, because I was told I had the job and like suddenly it's not available, and not much of an explanation. This will keep you in mind if another position opens up. I mean, I put everything on pause for this. It was devastating. And I went back and the other job, they already filled the role. It's been 6 months.
yeah.
But when I turned it down, they filled it with somebody else. So I was just kind of screwed. So I reached out to everybody that I possibly knew within the field of mental performance. And especially at the time when I graduated, there just weren't jobs available, not unless you had like 5+ years experience, which is like the worst thing as a grad student to hear. And I called everybody I knew in the field, and I kept hearing the exact same thing. Like, "Lauren, you just need experience. You need experience." And I was like, "Well, what do you think I'm trying to do?" Like,
I'm trying to get the experience.
So I was pretty frustrated, but kept coming up with nothing. There's just no opportunities, nothing for me to even apply to, which was very frustrating. And so, I had student loans coming up. So I decided, you know what, I need to get a job. I need to find some sort of job to at least like sustain me until I figure this out. So I decided to get a job at Starbucks. And there was one day at Starbucks that completely changed my trajectory. I am working in the drive-thru. And when you work in the drive-thru, it's your job to kind of entertain the customer while their drink's being made. So I'm chatting it up with this guy, and he looks up at me and he goes, "So are you in school?" Which was a fair question because most people were working towards a degree. And I said, "No, actually, I just graduated." And he's like, "Great. What did you get your degree in?" And I proudly told him performance psychology. And he just starts laughing at me, like full on laughing in my face. And I'm so confused. Like, I'm like, why do I have something on my, there's something in my teeth? Like, I'm so confused. So I'm a pretty straight shooter. So I finally just asked him, I was like, "What's so funny?" And he said, "Oh, you got one of those degrees you'll never use."
Oh, damn.
And my mouth just like dropped open. I was like, I can't believe this guy just said that to me. I was so pissed. I couldn't even hand him his coffee. I had to walk away. Somebody else had to hand him his drink. And when you hear somebody say something and it like you ruminate on it the rest of the day. So it just keeps replaying like a CD on repeat. Oh God, I just myself saying CD, like a song on repeat. And that's
I would have said
happened.
record.
Thanks for making me feel better. So it just kept playing and playing. And every time it played, I re-experienced all the frustration all over again. And I would get really upset all over again. And then I got upset because I was upset, because I'm like, "Lauren, you don't even know this guy. This guy doesn't even know you. Like, why are you giving him so much power over you?" And that was the moment I had this like aha moment. And I realized I wasn't upset because he was rude. I was upset because he was partially right. Like, how was I going to be the greatest mental performance coach I could be if I couldn't take my own damn advice? Because you're not going to get very far if you turn around at the first sign of an obstacle. And I just turned around. I just waved the white flag and I was waiting for something to show up on my door. But I realized that you're not going to make much progress just sitting and waiting around.
Yeah.
And so that was the day I Googled how to start your own consulting company. And I started my own consulting company, and I cold called like 10, 15 people a day, local coaches, academies. I went on LinkedIn and I tried to connect with people, just anybody that would let me get in front of them. And I got a lot of no's. I got a lot of like no answers, but every once in a while I'd land a yes. And I capitalized. And I specifically targeted baseball because I knew I wanted to work in baseball. And at the end of a year, I had sustained myself enough where I didn't have to work at Starbucks anymore. I'd created this little business for myself. And then I got an opportunity to interview with the Yankees, and I got the
Ooh.
job.
Well, I see the Yankees cap there. Just real quick for everybody. I'm from St. Louis. Go Cardinals. Go ahead. Yeah, you continue your story now.
We just have to make sure that it is known who Sammy is rooting for. It's not the Yankees, so do not hold it against him.
I'm gonna have to pause this for a minute. I gotta go get my Yachty jersey on. I'll be back.
Love it. Yeah, so I realized that because there were no opportunities, the biggest opportunity I was missing out on by not pursuing anything or finding another direction was creating my own. So I didn't want my own company at the time. I wanted to work for an organization, but there were no opportunities, so I had to make them. And after a year of doing that, I got the opportunity to interview with the Yankees, and I got the job. And I spent 4 amazing years with them as their mental conditioning coordinator under Chad Bowling and Chris Passarella. And it was amazing. It was an amazing time. I learned a ton. And then 4 years later, talk about full circle, I was really wanting to spread my wings in some other domains and areas. And that's what kind of led me to opening my own company and the one I currently own today.
Very cool. I absolutely love this. I resonate with it so much in so many ways. And I want everybody to really focus in, go back and listen to like the last 5 minutes, because there's so much value in what she just said. The biggest takeaway that I took, because I did it myself, was you stopped waiting on an opportunity to come to you. You know, I opened up another company, and I know I've known for about 5 years, I want to speak and I want to coach or train or whatever, but I really wanted to speak. Like, speaking's my thing. I love speaking, you know, just to touch the crowd. And I reached out. I did what you did. I kind of reached out. No. And I said, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to throw my own event. And so I did. I coordinated the whole dang thing and threw my own event. And it was a blast. And the speakers were awesome. I had 3 other speakers. And since I've done that 2 other times, and it's like the message that I know Lauren wants you to hear and I want you to hear is, don't wait. The Powerball is not magically going to come to you if you don't play the lottery. You know, playing the lottery is getting a lot of no's to get to the yes that you made. You know, and that's it. That's make it happen.
It's so true. And you know, there's the cost we typically consider is the cost of stepping outside of our comfort zone. But the cost the cost I'd like you to consider is the cost of the lack of growth from staying in it.
Yeah.
Staying in your, because there is a cost to that. There is a cost to staying exactly where you're at. And my question to a lot of people is like, what is the cost? But if you're going to consider the cost of stepping outside of your comfort zone, you also have to consider the cost of staying in it and the lack of growth from staying in it. And I constantly only paid attention to the first cost. And it wasn't until I recognized the second one from that, I call him an angel now, in the Starbucks drive-through, that was probably the only person that could have said something to me in a way that got me to look in the mirror and be really honest with myself. And so if I could thank that guy today, I totally would. I would totally take him out for a nice dinner and thank him, because even though his comment was rude, it was what I needed to hear. And
he made you question your choices.
He made me question my choices. And it was because of the alternate choices that I made that helped me to become more elite in other ways, in my own way. And so that was a big eye opener for me.
Oh yeah. And for people that are afraid of, I just heard this on a podcast today. I don't remember whose, because I listen to a lot of them, but I love the way this person described the word no. And he said, what if somebody came to you and they said, hey, at the end of 1,000 no's, I said you were going to earn $1 million. Would you start going and looking for no's? And then, of course, everybody's going to say, well, yeah. And you'll be excited for the no. Hey, 999 no's and I got $1 million. Boom, go to the next one. No, 998, man, I'm in. And you just continue. And through while you're trying to get to that 1,000, you're going to get yeses, you know. But the goal should be whatever maybe it's not $1 million, but it's whatever it is, to think of the no's that way. Hey, you're going to get to that number. If you fight the word no, then it's going to fight you back. If you accept it and go, hey, that's a learning point, and move on and get the next one and get the next one.
Well, and
you're going to get them.
I totally agree with you. And what you're describing like so well is just this idea that we all have a default. Our brain's job is survival. Our brain's job is to keep us safe. Our brains have not evolved from the beginning of time till now to not have that survival mechanism. And it's a good thing, right? The survival mechanism is amazing when we're in a life or death situation. The problem is our environment has evolved now where we're not running, trying not to be eaten most of the time. I mean, if you're in the ocean and you run into a shark, maybe, but that's not like a common occurrence, right? And so a lot of times now the threats in our immediate vicinity are things like rejection, are things like failure, are things like fear. These are the things that our brain is constantly trying to protect us from. But sometimes it tunes in when we don't need protecting. And it can many times do more damage than good. It can hold us back. It can be a limiter. It can make us make a decision that keeps us exactly where we are versus moving forward. And so I don't blame anybody that's in that position because it is our default mechanism. However, how we upgrade our default settings is with intentionality. And so if we understand, like now I call that, like when I am really uncomfortable, I step outside my comfort zone, I call it the growth zone.
Yes.
Because
Amen.
anytime I was in it, I felt like I would reject it. I would try to avoid it. I would push it away. But I realized you can't be comfortable and grow at the same time. Nope. And so I knew if I wanted to get where I needed to go, what was required of me is growth. It was doing things I hadn't done before. And so that was going to require a sense of uncertainty, a little bit of discomfort, that fear of the unknown, or the fear of rejection, the fear of the no. And so I love the way that you kind of flips that on its head, because I think really what you're discussing here is rewiring our neurology in a way that responds to this discomfort that we feel when we are told no, in a way that elevates your choices, in a way that elevates that response from the default setting to a better setting.
Yeah, and I love that. Like I say, I honestly, I just heard that today, and I love the way, I don't remember who said it, but I love the way they described it. And it was like, man, and what it made me think of is I've done that. And not knowingly, I was like, okay, a lot of times I'll go to a meeting, and if I get a no, I literally, because I drive to them, I'll pull away from the meeting and stop a few blocks away. And I'll get I do myself, I get my notepad out and I just go over everything that just happened while it's still fresh. What was good? What was bad? What was my mindset going in? What was my mindset while I was there? And it's try to figure out, why did I get that no? And maybe, do I need to recall them? Maybe I got to know at that moment, but if I call in tomorrow and just say, hey, it was very nice meeting you, this and that. While I know you said no, is there any questions I could answer, this and that? I have gotten work off of that. I have gotten clients off of that, just recalling it. And to me, again, it goes back with being honest with myself, that hey, we're all trying to be on the top of our game. It don't happen every day, every moment.
Right.
You know, so I checked out your website, and in doing that, I don't remember if it was before or after, you can tell us, but there was 57 questions that you literally have printed out. I wrote them down myself, And I would advise everybody to write them down. It's one thing to read them, and hopefully you do the right thing. You read them and you answer them. I wrote them down and answered them. And I just got to ask, so where did 57 questions come from?
So and by the way, for anybody listening, what he's talking about is a free resource that I give out. So if this is something that you're interested in, I'll be sure and give Sammy the link so he can throw that in the show notes so that you can get.
Oh, it'll be in there.
So yeah, so you can get your copy of the 57 powerful questions. One of the things I've learned, especially when it comes to becoming elite by choice, is that one of the most powerful things that we can do is not just give answers, but to find them ourselves. So in a lot of the coaching things that I do, I actually pose a lot of questions. And I pose a lot of questions because there's no more powerful discovery than when it's discovered by yourself.
Boom.
I actually compiled not only questions that I use with my personal one-on-one clients, with my professional athletes, with my CEOs, with my Fortune 500 companies, and like 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs, but this is also questions that I post in my newsletters that really help to unlock these blind spots that we have and really help lead us to this honesty and the reality and where we're currently at. Because we don't understand, if we're not aware of our current patterns, if we're not aware of, where we fall short or maybe even where we succeed really well, then it's really hard to adapt or change these things or even repeat these things if it's something we want to be repeated. And so what I did is I compiled a list of 57 questions and categorized them in a way that helps us to really unlock and reveal these blind spots and these areas so that we can continue to make the best choices so we can become elite by choice.
And I'm going to reiterate, everybody should go. Now, is that on, I can't remember. Is that on your website or is it's its own link?
It's its own link, which is why I'll be sure to give you both. So I'll give you both, but that's its own link. You will not find it on the website.
Yes, everybody, I would implore you to go visit both. Go check out these 57 questions. I mean, it was very enlightening to me just to sit down, write them out and answer them. Like you said, I found a lot of answers that were just truth to myself that, I don't know, I guess we bury it, we put it down and we don't think about it because, well, who wants to think about that? And this brings it back to the surface, and it's in a good way that it brings it back. And it's, so I don't know, it was really cool to sit down and answer 57 questions. And it was 57, not 10, not 15, 57, which was so cool to me because there was, I don't know, it wasn't a set thing. Oh, I've only got 9 more questions, No.
There wasn't, it was just the things that I thought were the most powerful. And, there's a phrase out there that says, if you want better answers, you need to ask better questions. And so sometimes, we don't need to ask other people. We just need to ask ourselves the right questions that can lead to those answers that we really want. Very
true. Very true. I got to ask, so if you haven't, or have you wrote a book yet? Because you need to write a book.
I appreciate you, Sammy. Actually, I'm so proud to tell you that I am currently in the process. And right now, the launch date is around early next year. So make sure and stay tuned for that. That should be a lot of fun. Have you written a book yet?
What's that?
Have you written a book yet?
I am actually in the middle of writing my first book.
Oh, right. So, and when is that going to launch?
As soon as yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Cool. So the point is to check back so we can hear that. Awesome. That's exciting. Oh, I can't wait to read it. It
is. It's a neat process. So now we're going to book talk for a second because when I say I'm started my first book, I've literally wrote a bunch down. And from listening to everybody, that's what they say. The first thing in writing a book is just start writing. So that's where I'm at. I haven't found a publisher or none of that stuff yet. I keep hearing get your first draft. So where are you at in your process?
So right now, I'm in the process of putting together all of the chapters in order. And right now I have like a really good idea of what my chapter and table of contents are going to look like. It's now the order in which they flow that I'm really working through that design. And then I'm going to go through each and every chapter and I'm going to really dive into it. But I've created kind of like the models for like, the stories I want to include in each chapter, kind of the takeaways, what I want the reader to leave with, and the like tangible applications that they can use at the end of every single chapter. So I've kind of mapped that out, and I'm just right now I'm in the process of rearranging them in the order that I think is going to be the best, because I like all of my stuff to like connect with each other, because I think they stack on top of each other. So so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm in the process of organizing all of my chapters and the contents that are going to be within them before I start writing them all out.
So are you self-publishing, or you got a publisher?
I have a publisher.
You have a publisher. So, and hey, I ain't gonna lie, everybody, I'm asking this for my own, so y'all just have to listen.
Love it.
So is this your manuscript then? Or you already did that?
No, I haven't done that yet. I have all of my, we have a process we're working through. I have somebody that's helping me as well. Okay. And so I have a process that we're working through. And it was first kind of realizing, what the North Star is of my book. What is that thing? What is that ultimate thing I want my reader to take away? Then it's going through all of my stories, because one of the things I really want to include is, while science is so important, and I'm going to be including science-based things, I also want to add this like really vulnerable side to it, and this human side, because to me, that's the connectivity. Yeah. So I'm going to be really vulnerable. I'm going to share stories I've never shared before on any podcast in this book. And I'm connecting my own personal stories, as well as stories of incredible, great athletes and people that have done incredible things in this world. I'm connecting them to these principles, these mental performance principles. And I call them like the mental performance laws that we're connecting those two things with the science to support it. So we're not just going to say, hey, this is what the science says, go do this. There's going to be examples, there's going to be tangible things. And then, okay, what does this mean for you? This is how you can begin to implement it within your own life. Very cool. Well, I'm excited, and I'm going to send out the invite right now. When that book comes out, I would love for you to come back on the show, or I can come to New York. You're in New York. Yes. And I want to go to one of your book signings, because I want a signed copy, and I'm all in. I want a copy. I'm pre-ordering my book right now. I love it, Sammy. Yes, we will make it happen. We will make it happen for sure. I appreciate that. That is so cool. Well, I got one more. No, we've got two more things. Let's see. How do I want to put this? I want to say congratulations, and then we'll do a closing. Congratulations. And you want to tell everybody why? If you follow her on social media, you'll know why. If you don't follow her on social media, go follow her right now. Thank you. Get ready to tell us something awesome. My husband and I are expecting our first child in September. Yay! We are super excited. Yeah, it's a whole journey. So it's been a lot of, pregnancy. There's ups and downs and all of that, but I've been so super blessed to have a very healthy and pretty easy pregnancy so far. Very cool. Well, congratulations. I'm so excited for you. When you have 4 like me, you'll go, yay. No, not so much. The first one's fun. Yes, the first one's fun. You said the due date was September? Yes, it's in September. September what? 16th. No, 15th. 50. Is that your birthday? Yes, it is. Stop it. Oh, okay, yes, well, we'll try and push him out sooner. Push him out, shove him out. Well, that is so eviction cool. Notice on the 15th. You already got names and all that stuff? We have a couple ideas, but not anything yet like that's solidified. We haven't decided quite yet. I feel like it's going to be it's going to be closer to when he's born is going to be my guess, but it is a boy. So we do know that, and we're super excited. So I must tell you how I got my name. Okay. This is very exciting, very exciting. So I'm born, boom, I'm the new baby. I'm in the hospital. Mom and dad are there, doctor's there. And the doctor says, okay, you want to take this baby home? We have to have a name. They hadn't thought of a name. And so my dad, the story goes,
that my dad looked at my mom and he said, well, how about Sammy? Sammy's a good name. And she said, what do you mean, like the goldfish? And he goes, yeah, the goldfish. Yeah, Sammy, that was a good name. The goldfish died the week before I was born.
Oh my God.
I have literally named after a dead goldfish. So, Lauren, you and your husband, best of luck on finding a name.
Thank you.
Don't wait till the last second because weird things will come to your head.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, that's good advice. Good advice. I'll take that.
There we go. And I got good names in my family. What grandpa, we had Donald, we got Ralph, we got Frank, we got good names. Nope, Sammy the dead goldfish.
Hey, I like Sammy. I'm a big fan of Sammy. There's a lot of good Sammys in this world, so I'll take it.
And tell us, so me and you, I know we talked earlier, you got a big event coming up in June. Yes. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I'm so excited about this. So last year, I hosted actually my first event, which was Elite by Choice for mental performance coaches. So I created this event specifically for people in my field. What I've done now is I had so many people in business reach out to me and say like, Lauren, like, can I come to this? And that was not the right event for them because the demographic was for people that are going to be doing the work in psychology the way that I do. So I decided I need to create one for them. I need to create an Elite by Choice for professionals. So that's exactly what I did. And really what I'm seeing now, these are like people I work with on a daily basis. These are entrepreneurs. These are, Fortune 500 companies. These are CEOs. These are executives. These are people in leadership roles. And there's no question that business owners are under more external pressures now than ever. And there's so many things going on, like inflation, and it's tough to find workers. And it's really been such a difficult market. There's pressure on our teams. And the question is, how do I outpace the market? And so a lot of times what I find with a lot of business owners or like leaders within their field, when they come to me, is they're not a business owner. They become firefighters because everybody brings you the fire and it's your job to put it out. And I ask a lot of times, like, what would you do for just an hour to think? And like you surprise people like, oh my gosh, I would love just an hour to think and not put out a fire. And so my question to everybody listening is, what if you had 3 days? Okay, 3 days and the rocket fuel of some of the most influential, incredible minds and actionable ideas on the planet. That is what we're going to bring to the Elite by Choice event. And these are people that have been featured in Forbes. These are people, one woman has won an Emmy. We have a guy that's the leadership development coach for USA men's national soccer team. And it's what we're going to do is we're going to really talk we're going to flip everything you thought about the complexity of profit on its head and show you how to systemize your bottom line. You're going to be able to deploy your ideas to the marketplace faster by pulling 3 levers to increase the productivity of you and your team by 30%. And you're also going to have time and space to create a crystal clear 5-year vision for you. And so that's what we're going to do here. And of course, I'm going to be a speaker. I'm going to be a personal mental performance coach to you and every person that attends for those 3 days, as well as these incredible people that are coming to join me. And way I'm describing it, it's like Metallica coming to play at your local bar. We have like some incredible people that are coming, and we're limiting the seats to 35 because I really want people to be able to connect and take away on a level that you can't get from a really, really big room.
Gotcha. Well, so is it full?
No, it's not full yet.
Oh,
not
okay.
Full yet, but it's also by application only. So if you go to my website and you click events, you can check out everything about the event and you can apply there. And then me and my team will personally review it and get back to you within 24 hours with a link to purchase if you are accepted. Because again, like this is an elite event, so we're making sure we have a room of elite individuals. So we've already sold several tickets, and we are anticipating a lot more applications than we have seats. So I encourage you to go check it out and apply because these are going to go fast.
Oh yeah, well, I'm going to go apply.
Woohoo!
that yes, it sounds amazing. Do you know the dates? June, you said
Yes.
June.
Yes, thank you. June 23rd through the 25th. And it's going to
23rd
be
to the 25th.
located in Sacramento, California.
Oh, okay. All righty. Well, I will make sure and put that in all the show notes too, because you know that's totally amazing. I mean, again, if y'all haven't got so much value out of this show that you're not excited for the book to come out, you're not excited to go check out 57 questions, you're not excited to go check out our website, check out this event coming in June. Holy crap, I think you're listening to the wrong episode, because I'm jacked up. Like, I'm ready to go. I want to go now. I'm going to follow you around for like 3 weeks.
I love it.
Just, I mean, it's amazing. Lauren,
You are welcome anytime. Anytime.
This was truly, truly awesome. All I can say is thank you. Thank you. Congratulations again on the baby. That's just amazing. You know, they're little turds for a long time, and they grow up and become bigger turds, but we love them, you know, so that's what we do. Thank you again. That's
Thank you.
I will make sure. Yep. No. Again, I'll make sure everything of Lauren's is in the show notes. Please go check out this young lady. Support her. Follow her on Instagram. Tell us your Instagram or where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, actually, probably the best way to find me on social media is going to my website. All my handles on social media are different, but I'm most active on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And all of them are on there. So you can go there to go scroll to the bottom, and all the links to each one is on there.
Very cool. Very cool. All righty, everybody. Well, you heard the lady. Got to start performing. Make a choice. Start performing. Do that today. And until next time, I am the Sammy J. This has been Mental Edge, and we're out.